at St. Augustine, Florida. About ready to venture into the Castillo de San Marcos. Across the bridge, the Intercoastal Waterway. It's an old Spanish fort that was begun in 1672. That lady is Nancy. Get us a shot of this little walled area and this little moat area before we head into the fort. Very interesting.
All these stone things are made with shells.
It was encased with a very thick layer of white plaster that protected the rock from rain and from storm damage. Also, it shielded everyone that was living inside of the fort, and also the foodstuffs that were kept here from the water that would pass through this stone. This is a very porous rock. It had some other great properties that they would not find out until several years later, in 1702. That's when this fort was first attacked. The English came to town, they quickly captured the town, forced all of the inhabitants into the Spanish fort, and for 50 days this fort stood as Spain's example of power and prestige in this area of the world. It won. This fort was never defeated in combat. The English left, but before they left behind quite a legacy, and a terrible legacy for the folks that were living inside this fort. They burned every building in town to the ground. This is the only single structure that predates 1702 in St. Augustine today.
Could I ask you to step behind the
The
white
fort was attacked again for 27 straight months. He didn't need it. He went back to Georgia. Spain won. That was the last major attack on the Castillo de San Marcos. Give you an idea why it was never defeated. The way you normally attack this fort was on land. You did not sail a ship into this bay. It was suicidal. It would have been blown out of the water in a few minutes. The skill of these gunners and the gunners that you're going to see here today was the reason behind that. They would practice at least 20 guns. It's called a 6-pounder, meaning it would hurl an iron ball weighing roughly 6 pounds, the distance of about a mile to a mile and a half. From where we're standing, out to your right to where that black and white striped lighthouse is, which is incidentally where the original inlet stood, not where the one that you see here presently. Out right about to where that shrimp trawler is in the bay, to as far as that the orange-colored roof condominium you see off to your left. That was one of the smallest cannons, and that was its effective range. The larger cannons, like some of the large guns that are pointed toward the town of St. Augustine, could range as far as 3 miles. And that's where we get our territorial limits that the United States followed all the way up until December of last year. 3-mile limit in the 18th century was as far as you could shoot a cannon. That was as far as you could defend. The men that you see before you went through a very involved process. This is the only place in the world that this Spanish cannon firing drill from the 18th century still lives. The reason why it was so methodical and unlike anything you've seen in Hollywood the way it was done by the Spanish here in 1740. It took a long time. Two good reasons for that. Number one, when the British came to town, they sealed this area off. You could probably, a close analogy to us today, coming to St. Augustine in the 18th century probably wasn't as unlike going on the space shuttle and blasting off and circling the Earth. This was about as far away from civilization that you could get in the 18th century. You were days away from your nearest supply zone, and powder was scarce. You wanted to make sure every shot counted. The second reason was that black gunpowder that this cannon fires is extremely dangerous. The U.S. Navy still uses it on battleships. We had a very stirring reminder of how dangerous black powder is on the U.S. Iowa several months ago. It is an extremely dangerous explosive. You did not want to put your men at risk unnecessarily. It's also one of the reasons why we keep everyone behind this white line. It's about one of the most dangerous things that's done in the National Park Service today. Every step had a specific command. They were all given in Spanish, and that's what you'll be listening to this afternoon. After the cannon is ignited, the blank charge, as it is, we don't fire a charge across the wall across the bay. Our friends over there wouldn't like us too much if we did. They will pull the gun out of battery and clean it, and that is a continuation of the drill. So you may want to hang around and see the end of that. At the end of the cannon firing drill, you'll have an opportunity to come up and ask any of these men, and they are all volunteers of the National Park Service. The only way this is being done for you this afternoon is through their generous donation. By the way, you may want to. They will be more than happy to explain all the different implements that they'll be using throughout the presentation. There are two warnings. The first one, if you're looking down, you're not on a gray surface, you should be. Okay? If you're standing on a cannon, please don't, because it is very dangerous. They may look like they're very silent today. They cause many injuries. So please get down. Also, to help us preserve the fort, we ask you not to sit or stand on any of the walls. Standing on the walls is also very hazardous, as it's a 33-foot drop down the other side. Plus, you have to pay another $1. The other thing, if you have a hearing aid, you will not need it for the program. I'm going to turn it down and take it out completely, because it could cause further damage. Also, if you have some small children, you may want to have them shield their ears. I'm going to be shielding my ears. When you see the cannoneers, do the same. Well, I hope you enjoy the next few minutes and the rest of your stay here at the historic St. Augustine.
You see all right?
I can't do it.
From the Castillo de San Marcos, San Augustine. The interior of this old fort.
Try to come over here and stand. Here, come stand by that.
Why is everybody breathing? This is crazy. He's going to take it. Oh, wait a minute. This is a zoom lens, right? Yeah, but you got to turn it to zoom lens. Step back farther. Go back farther. There you go. Go back farther. There's the back. 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 Wherever you want. Back. Go back farther. Back. Keep going back. Bye. You did say I could take this. Goodbye. You can zoom it. Then you got. Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, now you got it. Huh? Okay. Hey, you're not blowing. When you start when you start to push the button, then it focuses. Yeah, that's what. Push down one.
Did you hold it?
Oldest wooden schoolhouse in the United States. The boys are trying to figure out how to get rid of it and to do a school.
I know. Stupid looking mannequin.
Seriously, we're not it. Nigel.
Backside of the little schoolhouse. Children throwing pennies in a well. Kitchen. Trent ringing the bell.
Please ring it. Just please ring the bell.
Are some photographs of the class taken at that reunion and the class roll. The school itself was built sometime before 1763.
During the first Spanish period.
Very good, Johnny. The school is built of cypress and cedar with handmade nails and wooden pegs. This is the oldest wooden structure in St. Augustine, and it has never been reconstructed.
The first pupils were in Oregon. They came here to learn English. Now we learn arithmetic and other stuff as well as reading and writing.
Some boys and girls learn their arithmetic.
We're walking down the restored Spanish Quarter at St. Augustine. Beautiful area. There's a church down at the end here.
Not a lot. I mean, not a lot of help.